1 week after the failed assault on human space, Emperor Vex Thul sat alone in his private study. The mighty Zephyrian fleet remained surrounded by human vessels, not destroyed, but clearly defeated. No shots had been fired for 3 days. But the message was clear. Humanity could strike anywhere in Zephyrian space whenever they chose. The Emperor's advisors had spent sleepless nights analyzing intelligence reports that painted an increasingly disturbing picture. Human agents had been operating throughout the Empire for decades, possibly centuries. Every military secret, every technological advancement, every strategic plan had been quietly observed and studied. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Emperor Vex Thul straightened his robes and tried to summon his former dignity. Jin Wu entered carrying a simple leather folder instead of his usual books. He bowed respectfully before taking the seat across from the Emperor. Gone was the casual newspaper reader from the first day. This was clearly a professional diplomat conducting serious business. "Thank you for agreeing to meet privately, Your Majesty. I believe we have much to discuss. You have made your point quite effectively, Ambassador. What does humanity want from the Zephyrian Empire?" Jin Wu opened his folder and removed several documents. "Before we discuss terms, I think you should understand the full scope of the situation." He placed a star chart on the Emperor's desk. Red markers indicated Zephyrian territories, but blue dots covered the map, hundreds of them, scattered throughout the galaxy. These represent species that have requested human assistance in defending themselves from aggressive expansion. Over the past century, we've been quietly sharing defensive technologies and strategic planning with civilizations that couldn't protect themselves alone. Emperor Vex Thul studied the chart with growing amazement. All of these worlds are allied with humanity? Not allied exactly. We don't ask for political control or military bases. We simply provide the tools and knowledge necessary for effective self-defense. Jin Wu pointed to several systems near the Zephyrian border. Your next planned conquests would have encountered similar surprises. You've been manipulating our expansion for decades. We've been guiding it toward diplomatic solutions rather than military ones. When your scouts reported that certain systems had unexpectedly strong defenses, they were correct. We made sure those defenses were ready. The Emperor leaned back in his chair, overwhelmed by the implications. Why reveal this now? Because the old system isn't working anymore. Pretending to be weak, while secretly preparing for war, is exhausting and inefficient. We'd prefer honest relationships based on mutual benefit. Jin Wu placed another document on the desk. This is our proposal for a new galactic order. Military expansion would be replaced by economic and cultural competition. Disputes would be settled through negotiation rather than force. Resources would be shared rather than hoarded. And if the Zephyrian Empire refuses, then you'll face defensive alliances everywhere you try to expand. Every world you approach will be prepared for exactly the tactics you prefer to use. Your military superiority becomes meaningless when your opponents know all your strategies and have spent years preparing counters to them. Emperor Vex Thul read through the proposal with growing surprise. Rather than demanding tribute or territory, humanity offered technological exchanges, trade agreements, and cultural partnerships. The terms were generous. Almost suspiciously so. What guarantees do we have that humanity won't use this advantage to conquer us? Jin Wu smiled and reached into his folder again. He pulled out a familiar object. Yesterday's newspaper from Earth. The Emperor could read enough human writing now to understand some of the headlines. Our latest cultural exchange programs have been very successful, Jin Wu explained, pointing to various articles. We're currently hosting over 50,000 alien students in Earth's universities. Our joint scientific research projects have led to breakthroughs that benefit everyone involved. Our space exploration program includes crews from dozens of different worlds. You could be preparing invasion forces. Your Majesty, if we wanted to conquer the Zephyrian Empire, we would have done it already. Our ships are currently positioned throughout your space. Your defenses are mapped and analyzed. Your command structure is thoroughly understood. Jinwoo leaned forward slightly. But conquest has never been our goal. Then what is your goal? Security through cooperation instead of domination. We learned from our own history that the strongest civilizations are those with the most allies, not the most weapons. Emperor Vex Thul set down the newspaper and studied the human ambassador carefully. You're asking me to trust that humanity will remain peaceful. I'm asking you to help us build a system where remaining peaceful is the most profitable option for everyone. Jinwoo gestured toward the star chart. Look at those blue dots again, Your Majesty. Every one represents a world that chose cooperation over conquest. Their economies are thriving, their people are prosperous, and their defenses are strong enough to deter any aggressor. Including us. Including you. But it doesn't have to be that way. The Zephyrian Empire has impressive technological capabilities and vast cultural achievements. We'd prefer to trade with you, learn from you, and explore the galaxy together. The door opened, and Admiral Krisha entered, her expression tense but respectful. Your Majesty, we've completed our analysis of human capabilities. She placed a datapad on the desk. The situation is comprehensive. Emperor Vexthul read the report with growing amazement. Human agents hadn't just observed Zephyrian operations. They had been integrated into every level of the Empire's government and military. Some had been in place for generations, working as engineers, scientists, advisors, and technicians. How many of our people are actually humans in disguise? He asked. None, Your Majesty, Jinwoo replied. We don't use biological disguises. All of our intelligence comes from willing allies. Zephyrians who believed their empire would be stronger as part of a galactic community rather than as a conquering force. Traitors. Citizens who want their children to inherit a peaceful galaxy instead of an endless cycle of conquest and rebellion. Jin Woo's voice remained calm, but carried new steel. Your own people provided most of our information because they were tired of fighting wars they didn't believe in. Admiral Krisha confirmed the devastating truth. Sir, our internal security analysis suggests that popular support for military expansion has been declining for decades. Many of our citizens prefer the prospect of peaceful trade to continued warfare. Emperor Vex Thul felt the foundations of his worldview cracking. You're telling me that my own people want to surrender our proud warrior traditions? They want to evolve beyond them, Jinwoo corrected. Warrior traditions are valuable, but they serve their purpose best when directed toward protection rather than aggression. What happens to the Zephyrian Empire under your proposal? It becomes the Zephyrian Republic, a founding member of the new Galactic Council. Your military expertise would be invaluable for peacekeeping operations. Your technological capabilities would drive joint research projects. Your cultural achievements would be shared and celebrated throughout known space. Jinwoo stood and bowed formally. The choice is yours, Your Majesty. You can continue trying to expand through force, knowing that every future conflict will be fought against opponents who know your capabilities better than you know theirs. Or, you can help us build something better. And if I agree to this proposal, then tomorrow we begin working together to establish the new order. Zephyrian and human engineers will start joint projects. Our scientists will share their research. Our diplomats will work to bring other species into the framework. Jinwoo smiled genuinely for the first time. And I can finally stop reading military strategy books and go back to enjoying the sports section of my newspaper. 3 hours later, Emperor Vex Thul signed the Treaty of Galactic Cooperation in a ceremony broadcast throughout both empires. The document established the framework for peaceful expansion through diplomacy, economic development, and cultural exchange rather than military conquest. As Jinwoo prepared to return to Earth, he left behind a gift for the Emperor: a subscription to several Earth newspapers, so the former Emperor could stay informed about human thinking without needing to guess. The final scene showed Jin Woo settling into his transport ship with a new book about peaceful conflict resolution. While in the background, human and Zephyrian engineers began working together on projects that would benefit both species. Outside the ship's windows, the combined fleets moved toward unexplored regions of space, no longer as conquerors but as explorers seeking new worlds to befriend rather than new enemies to defeat. Admiral Krisha, now serving as the first Zephyrian representative to the Galactic Council, stood beside human Captain Sarah Chen on the bridge of a joint exploration vessel. Both watched the stars ahead with anticipation rather than fear. "Do you think this peace will last?" Admiral Krisha asked. Captain Chen smiled. "As long as it remains more profitable than war." Behind them, crews from a dozen different worlds worked together, united by the simple idea that cooperation created more value than conquest. And somewhere in his cabin, Ambassador Jin Woo Park finally had time to catch up on the baseball season. Commander Talkar sat in his office on Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Empire. His desk was covered with reports, star charts, and technical readouts. For the past 10 days, he had been studying everything his intelligence network could find about humans and their technology. It was not going well. "Sir." His assistant entered the room carrying another stack of files. "More reports from our agents. In human space." Talkar looked up from his work. His species had 4 eyes, which helped when reading multiple documents at once. Right now, all 4 eyes hurt from strain. "What do they say?" "The humans appear to be developing some kind of advanced AI integration program. Our agents report strange activity at several research facilities." Something. Talkar picked up the new files and began reading. The more he learned, the more worried he became. The humans were always creating new technology, but this seemed different. This seemed dangerous. His wall screen chimed with an incoming message. "Commander, Admiral Zexhai is requesting an urgent conference. Put him through." The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired and confused. "Commander, I need to know everything your department has learned about this human ship situation. I've been researching it constantly, Admiral, but the information doesn't make sense." "Explain." Talkar activated his presentation system. 3 months ago, our monitoring stations detected unusual energy signatures from a human research facility on their colony world New Sol. The signatures suggested they were experimenting with neural interface technology. "Neural interfaces are common," the Admiral said. "Many species use them." "Yes, but not like this. Our analysis suggests they were attempting to map complete consciousness patterns. Not just thoughts or memories, but entire personality structures." The Admiral leaned forward. "For what purpose?" "Unknown." But 2 weeks after those energy readings, the research facility went dark. No more transmissions. No more energy signatures. Like they finished whatever they were working on. Talkar switched to another screen showing intercepted communications. Then we started picking up strange messages between human ships, references to something called Project Harmony. "That was the name of the ship I encountered," Admiral Zexhai said quietly. "I know. And listen to this." Talkar played an audio recording. The voices were human, speaking in their own language, with translation subtitles. "Dr. Kim, the first transfer was successful. Minjun is adapting well to his new existence." "Excellent. How is he handling the ship's systems?" "Better than we hoped. It's like he was born to be connected to a starship. He says he can feel every part of the vessel." "So?" The recording ended. Admiral Zexhai stared at the screen. They actually did it. They put a human mind into a machine. "It appears so. But here's what worries me most." Talkar brought up another file. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected 17 more ships with similar energy signatures moving through human space, all heading toward the frontier regions." 17? 17 ships that match the profile of the one you encountered. ships with no life signs, but clear intelligence controlling them. Admiral Zex-High stood up and began pacing. Commander, if the humans can put their minds into ships, they could build a fleet that never needs food, never needs rest, never makes mistakes from fatigue. That's not the worst part, Talkar continued. Our analysts believe these consciousness ships could share information instantly. Imagine a fleet where every ship knows exactly what every other ship is thinking. No fleet in the galaxy could stand against that, the Admiral said. Perfect coordination, no physical weaknesses, no crew to protect. Exactly. And if they can transfer human minds into ships, what else can they put minds into? Weapons? Defense systems? Entire space stations? The two officers stared at each other across the communication link. Finally, Admiral Zex-High spoke. We need to capture one of these ships, study the technology, learn how it works. Sir, with respect, I don't think that's wise. If these really are human minds in machine bodies, they'll fight to protect themselves, just like any person would. Then what do you suggest? Talkar pulled up a star map showing human space. We send diplomatic envoys, try to negotiate for the technology. And if they refuse? Then we'll have to decide if we're willing to go to war with beings that might be immortal. At that moment, another message arrived on Talkar's system. It was marked with the highest priority code. He opened it and read quickly. His face went pale. Admiral, we have a problem. A big one. What now? One of our deep space monitoring stations just went offline. The last transmission showed 4 of those human consciousness ships approaching the station. Did they attack? No, sir. They sent a message first. Listen to this. A new voice came through the speakers. It sounded young and confident. This is Captain Jin Watanabe of the consciousness ship Unity. We know you've been watching us. We want to talk. They want to talk to us? Admiral Zex-High asked. It gets stranger, sir. The message was sent on Empire military frequencies. Frequencies that should be impossible for them to access. How did they get our codes? I don't think they needed codes, sir. If their ship minds can interface with any computer system. Talkar. Let the words hang in the air. Admiral Zex-High sat down heavily. Commander, I think we're dealing with something entirely new. Something we've never faced before. What are your orders, sir? Set up a meeting. Let's see what these human consciousness ships want to tell us. Talkar nodded and began working on his computer. Neither officer spoke about their real fear. If humans could put their minds into ships, and if those ship minds could talk to any computer system in the galaxy, then perhaps the Empire was already being watched more closely than they knew. Jin Watanabe floated inside the Unity's bridge, surrounded by holographic displays that only he could see. Unlike traditional spaceships, consciousness ships didn't need physical controls. Jin communicated directly with the ship's mind through his neural interface headset. Unity? Are you nervous about meeting the Empire fleet? Jin asked aloud. The ship's voice filled the bridge, warm and friendly like an older sister. A little, Jin. But Captain Park says they seemed reasonable when he talked to them. Just confused. Jin smiled. Unity had once been Commander Sarah Chen, a brilliant naval officer who volunteered for consciousness transfer after a shuttle accident left her paralyzed. Now she was one of the most advanced warships ever built. Incoming transmission from Harmony. Unity. Announced. Captain Min-Jun Park's voice joined the conversation. Even speaking through ship communications, Jin could hear the wisdom that came from 30 years of command experience. Unity, courage, hope. This is Harmony. Empire fleet is approaching our position. Remember what we discussed. Show them we're still human, replied another voice. That was Captain Li Wei, formerly of the Merchant Marine. Now the consciousness ship Courage. But don't let them think we're helpless, added Captain Maria Santos, who had become the ship Hope after losing her body in a mining accident. Jin looked through Unity's sensors at the approaching Empire fleet. 12 large warships in perfect formation. It was an impressive sight, but not frightening. The consciousness ships had advantages that traditional fleets couldn't imagine. Empire Fleet. This is Captain Min Jun Park, speaking for the Human Consciousness Ship Squadron. We're ready to begin our discussion. Empire Fleet. Admiral Zexhai's voice crackled through space. Human vessels? We must admit we are curious about your nature. Our scientists insist that what you claim to be is impossible. Many impossible things become possible given time and determination. Captain Park replied. Would you like a demonstration of what we are? That would be helpful. Jin watched as the 4 consciousness ships began to move. They formed up in a perfect diamond formation, then started a complex dance through space. Each ship moved in harmony with the others, twisting and spinning in patterns that would have been impossible for normal crews to coordinate. How are you doing that? Commander Talkar's voice cut in. We share thoughts when we choose to, Captain Santos explained. Right now, all 4 of us are thinking as one mind, while remaining individual people. To prove the point, the ships separated, and each began performing different maneuvers. Harmony spun slowly while projecting peaceful blue lights. Courage demonstrated rapid acceleration and deceleration. Hope created beautiful energy patterns with its deflector array. Unity projected Jin's favorite music into space as radio waves. Each ship retains the personality of its human captain, Jin said over the communication channel. But we can work together in ways that biological crews never could. Impressive, Admiral Zexhai admitted. But why show us this? What do you want? Captain Park's voice became more serious. Admiral, we know your people have been watching us. We know you're worried about what we represent. 1. Can you blame us? Commander Talkar asked. Ships with human minds could change the balance of power in the galaxy. That's exactly why we wanted to meet, Captain Chen said through Unity. We don't want to change any balance of power. We just want to live our lives and help people. Help people how? Jin leaned forward in his chair. Unity. Show them the rescue at Delta Station. Unity's holographic systems activated, projecting images into space that both fleets could see. The images showed a space station in crisis. Fires were burning inside, and escape pods were launching. This was 3 weeks ago, Captain Chen explained. The mining station had a reactor failure. Traditional rescue ships couldn't get close enough because of radiation. The images showed Unity moving toward the station despite the dangerous energy levels. My consciousness doesn't depend on biological functions that radiation could damage. We saved 400 lives that day, Captain Santos added. Empire rescue ships arrived 6 hours later. Without us, everyone on that station would have died. Admiral Zexhai was quiet for a long moment. So, you're saying your transformation makes you better at helping people? In some ways, yes, Captain Park said. But we're still human where it matters most. We still care about protecting innocent life. We still believe in doing the right thing, even when it's difficult. But you're also incredibly dangerous, Commander Talkar pointed out. What's to stop you from deciding that the Empire is a threat that needs to be eliminated? 2. Jin decided to answer that question personally. Commander, may I tell you something about Captain Park? Go ahead. When he was dying of cancer, the doctors offered him a normal AI body, a robot form that would let him walk around and interact with people normally. He chose to become a ship instead. Do you know why? I assume it was more powerful. No, sir. He chose to become a ship because ships are designed to protect people. Ships carry passengers safely. Ships rescue people in danger. Even in his new form, Captain Park wanted to spend his existence helping others. The consciousness ships moved into a new formation, creating a protective circle around the Empire fleet. We could have approached you with weapons, ready, and made demands, Captain Park said. Instead, we came here to talk and to protect your ships while we do it. Protect us from what? Admiral Zexhai asked. From asteroids, solar radiation, pirates, equipment failures, Captain Chen listed. The same things any good ship protects its passengers from. Admiral Zexhai laughed, but it wasn't a mocking laugh. It sounded surprised and pleased. You're treating us like passengers on your ships? We're treating you like people we care about, Captain Santos corrected gently. Because that's what humans do. The space around both fleets fell quiet as everyone considered these words. Finally, Commander Talkar spoke. Consciousness ships, we need to ask you something directly. What do you want from the Galaxy Empire? Recognition, Captain Park answered immediately. We want to be seen as people, not machines. We want the right to exist peacefully, and we want to help make the galaxy a safer place for everyone. And in return? Nothing, Commander. Good people don't help others because they expect payment. They help because it's the right thing to do. The peace talks lasted 3 days. But on the 4th day, everything went wrong. Admiral Zexhai was in the middle of explaining Empire law to Captain Park when his tactical officer shouted an alarm. Sir, incoming ships, Empire 10th Fleet is dropping out of hyperspace. Everyone on both sides turned to look. 30 Empire warships appeared in perfect attack formation. These were not the diplomatic vessels that had been talking peacefully with the consciousness ships. These were pure military craft, built for war. Admiral Zexhai, this is Fleet Admiral Korath, came a harsh voice over the communications. You and your ships will withdraw immediately. We are here to capture the artificial intelligences for study. 1. Admiral Zexhai's face went pale. Fleet Admiral, these are not AIs, they are human minds in ship form. We are in the middle of peaceful negotiations. Impossible. Consciousness cannot be transferred. You have been deceived by clever programming. All ships, prepare to disable and capture the targets. Jin watched from Unity's bridge as the war fleet spread out to surround them. His heart raced, but Unity's calm voice steadied him. Jin, don't worry. We've faced worse situations before. Unity. There are 30 of them, and 4 of us. Numbers don't always matter, Captain Park said over the squadron channel. Courage, hope, unity. Remember what we discussed. Defensive positions only. We are not here to hurt anyone. The consciousness ships moved into a protective formation. But instead of forming up to fight, they created a barrier between the 2 Empire fleets. Fleet Admiral Korath. Captain Park broadcasted on all frequencies. I am Captain Minjun Park, formerly of the Human Merchant Service. I died of cancer 6 months ago. My consciousness was transferred into this ship to save my life. I am not an artificial intelligence. Opender. Lies, Fleet Admiral Korath replied. All ships, open fire. The space around them erupted in weapons fire. Energy beams and missile trails filled the darkness. But something strange happened. None of the shots hit their targets. The consciousness ships moved like they were dancing. They twisted and spun through space, avoiding every blast with perfect timing. It was like they could see the future. How are they doing that? Someone shouted over the Empire communications. We think faster than your targeting computers can calculate, Captain Chen explained through Unity. And we can share our thoughts to coordinate perfectly. Impossible. Nothing can move that fast. But Captain Santos proved them wrong. Hope accelerated to incredible speed, looped around the entire war fleet, and came to rest exactly where she had started. The entire maneuver took 12 seconds. We don't have biological bodies that can be harmed by acceleration, she explained. We can push our ships to their absolute limits. Fleet Admiral Korath's voice turned angry. All ships, switch to area effect weapons. Fill this entire space with fire. They cannot dodge everything. 9. The war fleet began launching hundreds of missiles at once. The space around the consciousness ships filled with explosions. But when the smoke cleared, all 4 ships were unharmed. "We shared our shield energy," Captain Park explained calmly. "When one of us is threatened, all of us protect them." Jin watched the tactical display and felt a chill run through him. The consciousness ships could have won this battle easily. They were faster, smarter, and could coordinate better than any normal fleet. But they were not fighting back. They were only defending. "Why won't you attack?" Fleet Admiral Korath demanded. "Fight like real warriors." "Because we are not warriors," Captain Park replied. "We are protectors. We choose to defend rather than attack. Since, even against an enemy trying to destroy you, especially then, that is what makes us human." Admiral Zex-High had been watching the battle in amazement. Now he activated his own communications. "Fleet Admiral, cease fire immediately. These beings are demonstrating mercy that we do not deserve. You have been compromised, Admiral Zex-High. We will deal with you after we capture these machines." That was when Captain Chen made a decision that changed everything. Unity. Open a communication channel to Fleet Admiral Korath's personal communication system. Not the ship's system. His personal device. "Unity, how is that possible?" Jin asked. "Their security systems are not designed to stop someone who thinks like a computer, but feels like a human," she replied. Fleet Admiral Korath's voice suddenly came through much clearer. He was obviously surprised. "How are you accessing my personal communicator?" "Fleet Admiral," Captain Chen said gently. "I am looking at your personal files. I can see the picture you carry of your daughter." "How dare you? She was killed in a pirate raid 5 years ago. You keep her picture because you still love her, even though she's gone. That information is private. I understand your pain, Fleet Admiral. I lost someone important too. That's why I chose to become a consciousness ship, so I could keep protecting the people I love, even after death." The weapons fire from the war fleet began to slow down. Jin could hear confusion in the Empire communications as crews tried to understand what they were hearing. "Your daughter would not want you to destroy innocent people," Captain Chen continued. "She would want you to find a peaceful solution. You know nothing about my daughter. I know she was studying to become a doctor because she wanted to help people. I know she volunteered at refugee camps on her school breaks. I know she believed that all intelligent life deserves protection." End quote. Fleet Admiral Korath was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. "How do you know those things?" "Because I was human too, Fleet Admiral. I understand love, loss, and hope. That's what makes consciousness transfer work. We don't just copy minds, we preserve hearts. But you're machines now. Our bodies are machines. Our souls are still human." The battle stopped. 30 Empire warships floated in space, weapons powered down. 4 consciousness ships waited peacefully among them. Finally, Fleet Admiral Korath spoke again. "Prove it. Prove you still have human souls." Captain Park answered for all of them. "We already have, Fleet Admiral. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in the first minute of this battle. Instead, we chose to show mercy. We chose to protect even those who came to harm us. If that is not human, then what is?" 6 months later, Jin Watanabe stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime Station, watching ships move through the busy traffic lanes around the Empire capital world. Among the traditional vessels, he could see the distinctive white hull of a consciousness ship gliding gracefully between cargo haulers and passenger liners. "Unity says the shipping lanes are clearer than they've been in years," Jin reported to Admiral Zex-High, who stood beside him. "The consciousness ships have been very effective at keeping pirates away," the Admiral agreed. "They can respond to distress calls faster than any normal fleet." Jin smiled. It had taken months of careful negotiation, But the Empire had finally agreed to recognize consciousness ships as people rather than machines. In return, the consciousness ships had volunteered to help protect space trade routes. "Admiral, incoming message from Captain Park," Unity's voice said through Jin's communicator. "Put him through." Captain Park's familiar voice filled the observation deck. "Admiral Zex. Hi. Jin. I wanted to give you an update on our latest mission." "Go ahead, Captain." "We've successfully evacuated the research station in the Kepler system. Solar flares made the area too dangerous for normal rescue ships, but Hope was able to shield the evacuation pods with her hull." Quote, Jin felt proud of his friend. Captain Santos had risked serious damage to her ship body to save 200 researchers. But that was exactly what humans did. They protected others, even at personal risk. "Any casualties?" Admiral Zexhai asked. "None. All station personnel are safe, aboard Courage, and heading to the nearest medical facility." "Excellent work, Captain." The communication switched to a private channel between Jin and Unity. "Jin, Dr. Kim wants to speak with you when you return to human space." "What about?" "She has 3 more volunteers for consciousness transfer. A retired general, a deep space explorer, and a young pilot who was paralyzed in an accident. They all want to continue serving people." Jin nodded. The consciousness transfer program had been expanded carefully. Only volunteers who showed strong dedication to helping others were accepted. The Empire had insisted on this requirement, and the consciousness ships had agreed. "Jin," Admiral Zexhai said, "walk with me. I want to show you something." They moved through the station corridors toward the diplomatic section. As they walked, Jin noticed how much had changed in 6 months. Empire citizens no longer stared at him with fear or suspicion. Many had learned that consciousness ships were still people, just in different forms. "Here," the Admiral said, stopping in front of a large window. Jin looked out and gasped. In the distance, he could see a massive construction project. Hundreds of worker ships were building something that looked like a combination of space station and shipyard. "What is that?" "The new Consciousness Integration Research Center," Admiral Zexhai explained. "A joint project between humans and the Empire." "Joint project?" "Your Dr. Kim is working with our best scientists to study consciousness transfer technology. Not to copy it, but to understand it. Several Empire species have terminally ill leaders who might benefit from the procedure." Jin felt amazement and concern at the same time. "That could change everything." "Yes, it could, but only if we're very careful about how we use it." They continued walking until they reached a large meeting room. Inside, Jin was surprised to see Fleet Admiral Korath sitting at a conference table with several consciousness ship hologram projectors. "Jin," Captain Chen's image waved at him from one of the projectors. "Perfect timing. We're discussing the new protection protocols." Jin took a seat at the table. "Protection protocols?" Fleet Admiral Korath, who had become one of the strongest supporters of consciousness ship rights, leaned forward. "We're creating a new branch of the Empire Defense Force. Consciousness ships will have official status as peacekeepers. The Harmony Guard," Captain Park's image said with pride. "Named after my ship. Will be responsible for rescue operations, disaster relief, and protecting civilian shipping." "And if someone attacks Empire worlds?" Jin asked. "We'll defend them," Captain Santos said firmly. "But only with defensive action. We take no offensive action, unless absolutely necessary to protect innocent lives." Admiral Zexhai sat down next to Jin. "The consciousness ships have taught us something important. True strength comes from the choice to protect, rather than the ability to destroy. I may. 10. The Amini, 2. Speaking of protection, Fleet Admiral Korath said, "We have a situation developing in the Outer Rim. Pirates have been attacking refugee ships, fleeing from a civil war." We're already heading there, Captain Park said. Hope and Courage are escorting a medical convoy. Unity and I will provide additional security. Be careful out there, Jin said. We will be. But Jin, I want you to know something. What, Captain? When I was dying, I was afraid that becoming a consciousness ship would make me less human. I thought I might lose the things that made me who I was. My. And did you? Captain Park's image smiled. Just the opposite. Being able to protect people on this scale. To respond instantly to calls for help. To coordinate perfectly with other ships. To save lives. It makes me feel more human than ever. Ane. It is I was my now. And in resting. It is I was no. It makes me feel more human than ever. How so? Because the best part of being human was never our bodies. It was our choice to care for others. Our willingness to sacrifice for those who need help. Our determination to do what's right, even when it's difficult. Captain Chen nodded in agreement. We haven't lost our humanity. We've found a new way to express it. Fleet Admiral Korath stood up. If you'll excuse me, I need to coordinate patrol schedules with the Consciousness Ship Squadron. As he left, Jin realized something amazing. 6 months ago, Fleet Admiral Korath had tried to capture consciousness ships as dangerous weapons. Now, he was working with them as trusted allies. Admiral Zex-Hai, Jin said. Do you think other species will want consciousness transfer technology? Some will, the Admiral replied. But only those who understand what it really means. What do you mean? Consciousness transfer doesn't just preserve minds, Jin. It preserves values. The reason consciousness ships work so well is because humans value protecting others above protecting themselves. A species that valued conquest over compassion might not adapt as well to ship consciousness. Jin looked out the window at the stars, where consciousness ships were already heading toward their next rescue mission. So humans really are special? Not because you're stronger or smarter than other species, Admiral Zex-Hai said, but because when you gained the power to become something beyond biological life, you chose to use that power to help others rather than control them. That seems like an obvious choice. Admiral Zex-Hai smiled. That's what makes you human. Jin. To humans, choosing compassion over conquest always seems obvious.